Hey, thanks guys. I'm here to talk a little bit about the broadband infrastructure, but more so to talk about how it's connected itself into today's industry and modern world. Imagine you're back in 1991 walking through the woods and you have a great idea for a meeting that's happening halfway around the world. With no hardline phone nearby, you'd be out of luck, right? The moment's lost. Now back to today. I get the same idea. I take my cell phone out of my pocket, so I'm a video conference live, interacting directly with a meeting on the other side of the world. So what's changed in such a short time? In a word, broadband. In the 90s, breakthroughs were happening that would change the world. 1991 was the year the first GSM call was made. 1991 was the year when the World Wide Web came to life. And 1991 was the year when Linux kernel was conceived and created by a Finnish computer scientist student, Linus Torvalds. These three seemingly unconnected events really changed the world. Today, 20 years on, we have around 85% of the world population covered by mobile telephone, GSM. The technology that made us mobile has evolved to mobile broadband. So we can use the World Wide Web everywhere, on our phones, laptops, and devices. The availability to be connected to and use sophisticated applications and networks has become an everyday thing. We pretty much take for granted the fact that we can interact with anyone and be part of the information and knowledge flow anywhere. We're living in a new open source culture in which anyone with internet connection can make their creations available to the public. Unmediated by the old gatekeepers, the result has been unprecedented outpouring of creativity. The people, the enterprises, the markets, the societies are all benefiting more and more from the real-time connectivity of the network and broadband makes possible. Connectivity is everywhere. Digitization extends into all possible areas of society, and mobility supports interactions wherever we want. Digital life and analog life are merging, and our emerging networks are already benefiting from the fundamental transitions and transformations of industries, public service, and into private life. So, what do we call broadband? What's an actual definition, right? The ITU calls broadband commonly used to describe it recent internet connections that are significantly faster than today's dial-up technologies. But it's not a specific speed or service. It makes it real hard to kind of narrow it down, right? Standards, such as defining broadband as a transmission capacity that is faster than primary rate ISDN at 1.5 or 2.0 megabits. Other places, broadband is considered to correspond to transmission speeds equal to or greater than 256 kbits. And some operators even label basic rate ISDN at 144 kbits as a type of broadband. In this, I'm not really going to define broadband specifically, but more generally, we take it at the minimum speed, so we use the following definition. Analog equals a narrowband internet access, which doesn't include ISDN, and broadband will be cable modems and ADSLs. Very broad, but really only scratches the surface of what it is. I know that's a mouthful, but it really barely does scratch the surface and what it means to modern society. We see a lot of transformations occurring in just about every issue affecting broadband. The restructuring of the Universal Service Fund is a response to the obsolescence of telephones and emergence of broadband, mobile, fixed, and wireless as the new necessity of the day. Lifeline government programs, long reserved for preserving heating, electrical, and telephone service for the disadvantaged, are being eyed for broadband. Net neutrality recognizes the promise of broadband service providers and the power they yield by controlling and regulating internet life. Sometimes we lose sight of what broadband has meant for so many different industries. As people become more and more immersed in their profession or hobby, broadband becomes a critical facilitator towards that pursuit. The use of broadband is often compared to the introduction of electricity in the United States, as Sean said earlier. Broadband is even being defined by policymakers as a necessity in the same category as electricity, heat, and phone service. Many people recall the days when you actually had to physically be in front of the television set to watch your favorite show, or precise time when they were scheduled to be aired. Now there are devices which monitor our viewing habits, record our shows and are interested in, and making them available to us on any television in the house, our computer, or even our phones, whatever we want. Many industries are emerging because of the internet. This includes the obvious ones, such as internet service providers, device manufacturers, others undergoing radical transformation because of broadband. I could just about guarantee that most people employed in America performing their jobs significantly different than they would have done 25 years ago, all because of the internet. Journalists, politicians, doctors, and stockbrokers have transformed the work they do because of the internet. On the other hand, so have grocery store clerks and automobile salespeople. Other than the nostalgia of the past, without technology, most people would herald the introduction of the internet. Otherwise, would lament the dispersonalization of society and diminishing the amounts of physical interaction between people. Thanks, guys.